Dialogue with a Hungry Lion. Dark was the night and weird the atmosphere. It rained from time to time. Gusts of wind shook the trees. At the intervals of thunderclaps and the moaning of jackals could be heard the eerie laughter of spirits. Flashes of lightning showed fearful faces. But King Vikram did not divert a bit. He climbed the ancient tree once again and brought the corpse down. However, as soon as he began crossing the desolate cremation ground with the corpse lying on his shoulder, the vampire that possessed the corpse spoke. O king, what reward do you expect from your labors? Are you sure that by the time you come to the end of your endeavor, you will still be interested in the reward? To explain my questions, let me narrate an incident to you. Well, you, like thousands of others, already know the first part of the incident. It is about the three friends who revived a lion. However, before telling you what you do not know, let me tell you what you know more or less. Pay attention to my narration. That might bring you some relief. The vampire went on. Years ago, there was a sage named Divyananda who ran a Gurukul. His hermitage was situated on a charming spot between a hill and a forest on the bank of a swift flowing river. His students lived in a cluster of huts in front of his cave. At one time, three princes lived in the Gurukul. One of them was the heir to the throne, and the other two were his stepbrothers. They were not very good students, but the Guru did his best to teach them such subjects which would help them in the future. The princes, however, were quite curious about supernatural things. The sage had several palm leaf books on different occult sciences. The princes read them whenever they could gain access to them without the sage's knowledge. Among the other disciples of the sage was Govind, an intelligent and wise young man. He learned yoga from the sage and he wished to stay on in the hermitage as an ascetic. The sage knew that Govind had all the qualities to succeed him as the guru. But he also knew that Govind was not completely ready for that kind of life. There were moments when Govind dreamt of leading a prosperous life in the society. One day the princes heard that their father was ill. Though nobody had come with any news from the court or they had not been summoned, they decided to proceed to the city. The sage said, "You have completed your studies and I have no reason to detain you, but you should wait for the king's messengers to come." But the princes insisted on leaving the very next day. The sage thought that it would not be proper for them to go without a sensible escort. He asked the elder prince, "Would you like Govind to accompany you? I think he would be the best friend, philosopher, and guide." "Sir, there is no doubt about that," said the elder prince. They loved and respected Govind. "Good. In fact, I would like you to appoint him as your adviser. When you ascend the throne, you can appoint him your minister if Govind has no objection to it," said the sage. "I should be most happy to have him as my adviser and minister," agreed the elder prince. The sage called Govind privately and told him about the arrangements he had made for him. He then added, "Govind, you have the capacity to protect those who trust you. So I would like you to accompany the princess and remain as his adviser, for though they are good boys, they are not wise." "But sir, I would have liked to continue my yoga remaining here as your disciple," said Govind. "But you have also a desire for a comfortable social life. I know it is difficult to remain truthful and at the same time serve as a successful minister. My advice to you is you can try. If you feel that you are not meant for that kind of life, you can come back," said the sage. Next day, the three princes and Govind set out for the capital. They must cross the whole forest. The sun was overhead when they reached a dense area of the forest with a brook flowing by a rock. They sat down there for a little rest and for eating the food they carried with them. Suddenly, the youngest prince spied upon some bones and exclaimed, "These are the remains of a lion. I know the occult principle by which to join them and construct the whole skeleton. And I can endow it with blood and flesh," exclaimed the second prince. "And of course I know the science of breathing life into it, asserted the heir to the throne. Please don't do any such thing, anxiously cried out Govind. But the princes were so very excited with the idea of performing the miracle that Govind's words fell flat on them. They were discussing among themselves the prospect of their entering the city riding the lion. It would be such an awe-inspiring sight. The citizens would be deeply impressed. They had already begun to cast their magic on the remains of the lion when Govind cautioned them again, but in vain. All he would do was climb the nearest tree when the scattered bones became a full skeleton and it was endowed with flesh and blood, and then a huge lion shook its body and looked at the princess with glittering eyes. It gave out a blood-curdling roar and the three princes huddled together and shivered like blades of grass in the wind. The lion was about to spring upon them when Govind shouted, "Stop!" Now Govind knew the secret art of talking to the animals. When the lion turned and looked at him, he told it, "How can you kill those who revived you?" "I'm sorry, I did not know that they revived me. But let me tell you that along with my life, they also revived in me my hunger. A hunger that goes back to many years, maybe a century." As Govind kept the lion engaged in conversation, the princess slipped away. The lion and Govind argued on the issues of morality and principles. Said the lion, "I agree that I should not eat the princess, for life is a precious thing and I owe it to them. At the same time, I should not lose this precious thing once I have got it, and I shall lose it if I wait for catching any animal. I must eat immediately, and they are the only food available to me. Once I have gathered the minimum strength, I will catch animals. It is not correct to say that they are the only food available to you. Here am I, an alternative dish," said Govind, ready to come down. "Wait," said the lion. "Why does one live?" it asked. "To progress in life from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge," replied Govind. "If that is so, you are the one who gave me the knowledge of what is desirable and what is not. I would have killed the princess but for your telling me that they revived me. In other words, because you gave me knowledge, you are my teacher. How can I eat you? I trust you will show me some other way of survival instantly." "I appreciate your stand," said Govind. "Nevertheless, I offer my life to you because I am committed to protect the princess." Meanwhile, the princess had returned with two tribal archers. They took aim at the lion. Govind saw it, but before he knew what to do, the archers shot their arrows and the lion fell dead. The princess jumped in joy. As Govind climbed down, the elder prince bowed to him and said, "You truly know how to protect those who trust you." "No, I don't know," calmly said Govind. "This is your humility. Now let us proceed to our destination. I will not only make you my minister but also give you rewards that would make you the richest man in our kingdom next to the king. Saving all the three sons of the king is no small matter. The riches will make me poor. Please proceed to the palace with these worthy archers as your escorts. Give them some rewards. I am going back to my guru," said Govind, and he returned to the hermitage, disregarding all the entreaties of the princess. The vampire paused for a moment and then in a challenging tone demanded the king. "It is a fact that Govind protected the princess by persuading the lion to spare their lives. How then did he assert that he did not know how to protect those who trusted him? He had a desire for wealth. How then did he say that the promised riches would make him poor? Answer me if you can. Should you keep mum despite your knowledge of the answer, your head would roll off your neck." Forthwith answered King Vikram, "True, Govind protected the princess by promptly talking to the lion. But he could not protect the lion who trusted him even more than the princess trusted him. That is why he asserted that he was unable to protect those who trusted him. Secondly, the lion's question regarding why one lives and his answer that one lives for knowledge had suddenly awakened him to his own purpose in life. He had some fascination for wealth, but he was one of those who are self-conscious and who are keen to make progress in life. He realized that what he would lose by leading a comfortable life in the court would be much more precious than mere wealth. No doubt there are rare people like King Janaka who could lead a yogic life while discharging the duties of an administrator. But Govind was not one of them. He had to choose between the two patterns of life. He chose to remain with the sage. No sooner had King Vikram finished giving the answers than the vampire, along with the corpse, gave him the slip. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Do provide your feedback in the comment section below. Thanks for listening.